The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Gather around, family. Sit closely. Today, I don't bring you a story of heroes or ancient kings. Today, I bring you a story of shadow, a story of how the very hands meant to protect the house were found stripping the roof while the rain was pouring down. We are talking about Mali, our brothers, our beloved. Years ago, the clouds of war gathered over Bamako. The enemy was at the gate. The soldiers in the trenches were crying out loud for boats, for planes, for the steel to defend our soil. And the people reached into their pockets. They gave 20 billion CFA francs, $60 million. But listen to me. While the soldiers were at the front with a jammed rifle, some men in high offices were sitting in air-conditioned rooms holding pens that were sharper than swords. They looked at the money meant for the lives of our sons, and they saw a feast. They called it l'affaire des équipements militaires, but we call it a betrayal. They bought a presidential plane that we didn't need. They signed papers for armored vehicles that existed only on ink and air. They overbuilt. They landed. They feasted while the Sahel bled.
We are going to speak now about Mali instead, and the military equipment case. Life imprisonment is requested against several high officials. Mali has requested, or rather the public prosecutor has requested, life imprisonment against several former officials, let's put it that way, of the administration of Ibrahim Boubacar. What is happening in Mali? It concerns, essentially, the former Prime Minister Boubou Cissé, as well as certain collaborators. They are accused of embezzlement. Then also of mismanagement in this affair, of purchasing presidential planes and military equipment, of corruption. Several charges are retained against them. Forgery and use of forgeries, damage to public assets, money laundering and complicity. They face penalties going up to life imprisonment. We talk about it with our guests. I would like to start with you, the man from Almeida, the former Prime Minister, since he is the most well-known figure among the accused. Former Prime Minister Boubou Cissé, moreover in exile, he is no longer in Mali, is accused in this military equipment case. He faces up to life imprisonment. Yes, even if many of them are not on the ground and they have been convicted in absentia. The symbolism is very important in this context. As a citizen, one wonders how do these leading roles manage to embezzle, or rather to conduct with such lightness sovereignty projects. Projects that will allow their country to be more resilient, stronger, to better defend the interest of their population. So, one wonders why and how this happens. It's unrealistic that 20 billion could disappear like that. That a 20 billion project could fail to succeed. And that for a very long time. Since it's been several years, it's since 2014, going on, today. We are in 2026, practically more than 10 years later. We haven't cleared up this matter. Many will say that it's a witch hunt. But repetition feeds on impunity. It is important that at a certain moment, we can give a strong signal to leaders, to populations, that one must conduct the nation's affairs with great seriousness, especially on the military level. This military level, it is about sovereignty, today, sovereignty. We talk about it a bit everywhere. It's an overused theme, but it is very important. If the Europeans were able to colonize us, it's because we were weak militarily. If today countries allow themselves to go and attack other countries, or allow themselves to go grab other president, it's a question of military power. The world, unfortunately, is that. Empires, states live on military power. It is military power that can allow you to protect yourself against internal forces. Today, in those countries, we have noticed that there is a lot of jihadism. There are internal problems on the security level. But if the army is not equipped, how can the army secure itself? Internally, if the army is not equipped, how can the army protect itself against external forces? You have even seen, we talk about Niger. It's those of Mali, but next door, the coast of the AES. Niger had been threatened with being attacked by Nigeria and France and other ECOWAS countries. So, if you are not strong, everyone can attack you. And it is not good for the population who, overnight, would find themselves fugitives or be massacred. When there is war between Israel and Palestine, we see how many civilians die every day. So, it is important that we can put an end to this kind of practice in the governance of our nations in Africa, so that Africa be stronger. You know, the world that is moving. If there is ever a third world war, it is Africa that will be the reserve for countries in terms of resources, the reserve in terms of human labor. We will be the ones left behind in this matter. It is important that our nations strengthen themselves. Military planes too, presidential planes, but also military aircraft, armored vehicles. They are accused of overbilling, of mismanagement, of embezzlement, of money laundering. The trial has resumed. They are requesting against him, especially you too. It is a life sentence, life in prison. I believe it must be specified that this is a requisition by the public prosecutor for the moment. Of course, we do not have the verdict yet. I believe it is very important to specify it. But also, I believe we must ask ourselves a number of questions, which are legitimate questions. Why such a sum had been released? It is important that we can know it. It was to acquire weapons, carry out a reorganization, and so that Mali can have the necessary equipment to do what? To fight the diadem. The rebels. At the time, it was 2015. We must recall the context. Precisely. This is very important. So here, in these situations where a sum is handed over to a team, of which the Prime Minister, $60 million, and the head of government is there to see to it. And it was for the security of Mali. And they say that this is a way of stoning. There is mismanagement. I think that, ultimately, even the justice system could perhaps speak of a crime. Because when you want to acquire this equipment, why? It is to protect the Malian population. And if people have managed to divert these sums, to carry out overbilling, to make sure that the project cannot succeed, I think, in my opinion, that this is a crime. Now, it is true. Someone said earlier that people could perhaps talk about a witch hunt. But are the facts there? Yes or no? The question deserves to be asked. The facts are there, and we also place our trust in the Malian justice system, which has the necessary elements to be able to prosecute, as they are in the process of doing, these people who are mentioned. So, I think the truth should come out. If in the submissions, in the pleadings, the judge considers that this is not true, that there are gray areas, he will decide. But for the moment, it is an investigation that has been carried out. It is a procedure that is ongoing, and that has brought these wonders to light. I think that people should still explain. Besides, you remember that last December, when ASMI Guaita was delivering his speech, he had pointed out that there would be no more impunity, that no one is above the law. I quote him like that. So I think that it was already foreseeable. Now we must let justice do its work. It is a major jurisdiction that is in charge of this file. And we think that Mali, or rather the Malian justice system, can still manage to elucidate what is there, the grey areas, to know whether or not those who are cited are truly guilty. And if they are guilty, I think they must answer for it. They must answer for it. It is very important. And let it not be only in Mali, but everywhere else, because it is very important. It is a public good beyond everything. This money, it is a public good, and that a public good must be managed in one way or another properly. Thank you very much, Brahma Chabua. So Robert Casagan left the trial, launched in late 2025 and suspended. We will come back to it this January 29th. But well before, it must be noted that it is the prison sentence for life that is requested against former Prime Minister Abu Sisi, who was Minister of Finance at the time. We are in 2015, when the project was launched. He came into office just after. He inherited the file. After the audit, it is shown that there was money laundering, mismanagement, globally, with all the details that justice will be able to provide. Life imprisonment is requested against him. There are 4 in this file targeted by justice investigators. Yes, it is unfortunate because when money is taken out to equip the army of a nation that is moreover assailed from all sides by terrorists, and that this money is used for other needs, I still think that, for needs of a personal nature, I still think that it is more than criminal. So, except that Bubusi said that in the first instance, he was not cited in the file. It was only when the file reached the Supreme Court. He thinks there was interference of power from the authority at the head of the state. There was interference of power in the justice system. So for him, he wasn't involved at the lower level. And so he does not understand why, at the Supreme Court level, they must be cited, as my colleague on the set said. It is normal for justice to be able to assign responsibilities.
Names that once commanded respect are now being whispered in the halls of justice. The prosecutors are not playing. They are calling for life imprisonment. They are looking for the former Prime Minister, Bobo Sisi, a man now in the shadows of exile. The talk of the late Sumalu Boyiyi Mega. They are bringing the untouchable from the ABK era to the light of day. Why does this matter now? Because the wind is changing. General Assimi Goïta and the transitional government are sending a message to the wind. The era of the great eater is over. You cannot build a nation on the empty stomachs of its soldiers. You cannot claim sovereignty if your leaders are selling the armor of the state for gold in foreign banks. Is this justice, or it is a cleanup for a new era? And if you stand for truth, if you stand for rebirth of the Sahel, hit the like button and share the story. We must never forget. I am the latest Virgin One. I tell the stories the world wants to hide. To my VIP members, to Mr. Nelson, stay sharp. The truth is coming. This is the journey of the African, whereby the leaders that we are supposed to trust everything of the nation into are the same people that are using the resources of the state to benefit themselves. And at the end of the day, these are the people that are sitting in air conditions doing nothing. Yet in the African story, these are the people who need to enjoy. While these soldiers are on the front line, day in, day out, risking it all to protect the lives of the people, we see these same ones making sure they embezzle the state. and keep the same money with the oppressor. What at all should we do to these our leaders? That these people don't care about anything, and these are the people Jolopopo wants to lead the African, and these are the same people that the African youth follow blindly. For how long must Africans come to realize that they are the only people that can save themselves? Must we continue to be in the dark waiting for the whole world to come here and set us free, or we need to do the work by setting ourselves free? What a pain in the heart. Sometimes when you think about what we are doing to ourselves, it is so heartbreaking. And the same people who do nothing are the ones who enjoy. With all the things that they are taking, their salary and everything the state is giving to them, they still don't get satisfied. Because if they do, they wouldn't use what it is meant to save the lives of these people in their countries to do what they did. But justice must finally be served. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, West Africa, and in Mali.